Good morning. You are on the clock with me and Poppy again this morning. Say good morning, Poppy.
Good morning, everyone.
Coach Poppy. And we called this section today Coaches. And sorry we weren't with you yesterday. I was out with Robert and Brandon doing some hard work out in the Gulf of Mexico. And so anyway, missed you guys. Appreciate you being on today and sharing this podcast with other people. And we're going to talk again about what Nick Saban said the 5 enemies of greatness are. But I believe we can connect it to the same thing in the spirit, just like we did last time. And you can utilize some of these things. Sometimes it's a good coach will teach you what not to do, won't he?
Sometimes that's the best thing to know.
Yeah.
You don't touch that stove because it's hot.
Yeah.
But, not to,
what not to do. And so maybe we should entitle it that today, the 5 enemies of greatness. So these are things that you got to be aware of and identify within yourself what you're doing. I think one of the greatest qualities of great men is that they can identify when they're wrong.
Yeah, I like to be called a Christian man. And the 5 enemies of the good Christian men.
Good Christian men. Yeah. Okay, that's a good that's what you'd like to have on your headstone?
Yes.
He was a good Christian man? Yeah. Good. Well, I think that's something we all would as well. I think there's a lot of people out there today, just maybe like I was 30 years ago, and you're trying to find your purpose, and you're trying to win, you're trying to feed your family, you're trying to build a house, you're trying to do all these things to prove to somebody somewhere that you're a good man. And what we're trying to do is to help you identify exactly what Jesus says you need to do, so that when you finish this race on earth, you can be welcomed by the good man, Jesus, and into heaven by him saying, well done, good and faithful servant. Enter into the joy of the Lord.
I think good men can be interpreted to be those that accept responsibility.
Yep. Yeah.
Too many of our people today don't want to be responsible. They want all the benefits, but I don't want to be responsible for it.
Give us a clue now. Give us an example. What could you do? Let's say that you're a man today and you're watching this program, and maybe that's your issue. You haven't matured. To me, maturity comes with the acceptance of responsibility, not with age.
That's the whole thing.
So, give me an example. How could this guy that works at an auto shop be responsible? How could he improve today versus yet? Let's just take one day at a time.
Well, number one, he's got to be there early to set a good example for all the employees.
All right. So number one is you have to be early. Yeah. Now he's taking the concept that you're the owner of the auto. I'm just talking about if you're working there.
Well, I'm saying if you're a worker.
So you have to have responsibility as an example, even if you're a peer co-worker.
Yeah. That was my stepdad's main thing. He said, you go early and you stay late. If you want a good reputation as a worker, you're there early and you stay late. And he would accept nothing from his helpers or himself. He was always there 30 minutes early. He was always there 30 minutes late. He said, you never leave before the boss does.
So Fred was your stepfather, and he raised you from the age of
12.
From the age of 12 until you got out of high school, and he was there.
Yeah.
And I remember him as a little boy. We called him Pawpaw.
Yeah.
And you said he was very nice, and I didn't know him because he had changed into a nice man by the time I was born. And I think that happens to a lot of us. I can attest that as a new grandfather now.
Well, yeah, Fred did the thing that had to be done with me. He taught me backhand information with the back of his hand. And but it was needed because after 12 years of running the street with no guidance, somebody had to take over in a strong way to get my attention. And he did it the first night him and mother came home from the wedding.
So he probably would be in jail today if he was alive in these times. Well, but he probably wouldn't care.
No, he didn't care. He would told you real quick, if you want to call CPS, call them. And then when
did they have CPS back then?
No, I don't think so. But if you wanted to call,
you're probably why they made CPS. Yeah. That's what I'm thinking, because I was raised with you, so I know. Hey, let me take just a minute and say hello to some of the folks that are watching us. Andreas is watching us today. Andreas is the pastor of Powerhouse Latino in Katy. Mike Campbell is a Manhood U graduate and a friend of mine, been a part of Powerhouse over 20 years. Carlos Prado is actually the guy that is a Manhood U graduate, and he's putting together all of our social media. Jose Morales in Peru, pastor there. Brad Osborne is a minister in his own right. He's up in Dallas, and he comes to Manhood U right now. And he also handles a lot of annuities and different programs for people financially. And then Ray Carr, good to see you, Ray. And I'll be with you guys in a few weeks down in Alabama. Thank you for joining us today. Just wanted to have a shout out to you guys. And hopefully you enjoy what you hear today. A father and son talking about things that they've seen for a lifetime. My dad is 88 years old. I'm 65 years old. Bet you never thought you'd have a 65-year-old kid, did you?
I never thought I'd be 88.
88?
The oldest, my dad was 42 or 3 when he passed.
Yeah.
His dad was 50 when he passed. So, and on my mother's side, all the men died at around 50, 55.
But you made it.
I did.
And your mom didn't pass till 93,
90,
right?
93.
93. So you went with that strain over
Yeah.
there. So, all right, let's get into this a little bit, Dan, so we can talk about circumstances over vision. I remember we talked about entitlement and lack of discipline. Those are two things that really hamstring a lot of men, today. A lot of people, not just men.
Well, I like the self-discipline definition of doing things that you don't want to do.
Mm-hmm.
I like that. And I think that lack of that leads to this one here, circumstances over vision,
Mm-hmm.
because you don't have the determination, the discipline to make yourself do
Yeah.
what you know is right,
Yeah.
because you pick a little circumstance to deviate off the course. And
Distractions.
yeah,
Isn't it?
too many people make excuses. That's what I call excuses.
Mm-hmm.
If you're playing in a football game and the guy in front of you is bigger, you can make excuses all night, but it never gets the
Job done.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So you got to decide whether he's going to win or you're going to win.
Somebody said if you want to make it happen, you make a way. If you don't want to make it happen, you make excuses.
Right. That's exactly right.
Yeah. Look at this. It says average performers let circumstances dictate their attitude and their effort. So remember, 5 enemies of greatness. If you find that you're doing this, here's the ticket. Quit doing it. What we're showing you is things that are really pulling you down and stopping you. Dr. Cole said that unmet expectation leads to frustration. The end of your life is going to be a frustrating one. We can tell you that because we're talking to you from your future. If you keep doing the same old thing and expecting change, it's going to frustrate you, and you're going to end up the last 10 years of your life regretting when you could change it right now. Don't you agree? Today's the day to change.
Yeah, I can tell you the hardest thing for a man to do is look in the mirror and tell the truth. Look in the mirror and say, what am I doing wrong?
Mm-hmm.
Now, don't turn away from the mirror when you want the answer.
Mm-hmm.
Get the answer looking at the problem.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I know that I had a punishment back when I was a junior high principal of putting a kid in a place with a mirror in front of him. And it wouldn't take 2 or 3 hours till they'd run away. And they ran away from school.
I'm surprised they made that long.
Yeah. And I had a child psychologist tell me to quit that. He said the hardest thing to do is for a person to look at themselves in the mirror and take an honest approach. So I would say that, we all have that problem. And it's hard for me still at 88, almost 89, to look in the mirror and say, what did you do wrong yesterday? And that's really tough to take because I know what I did wrong, but I hate to admit it to myself.
Well, if you're honest, you can make progress.
Right.
If you're not, then you don't want to change and you don't want to have victory. But
make those excuses.
He says great performers stick to their vision no matter the conditions.
Right.
You stick to your vision and your convictions if they're right. If you look in that mirror and you see something that you've done that's causing chaos, and I think that's also yes, the mirror is important if you are a truth teller, but I think our system that we've learned is, Joshua had Moses, Timothy had Paul, We see father-son teams throughout the Bible to coach us into a place where the coach can say, you need to consider this. And at that moment, if you don't take that advice, you need to ask yourself, is he my coach? Is he my dad? Have I asked him to help me? Has he been faithful? Has he given me good advice? And is it me or is it him that's missing it here? And I think a lot of young guys, they get full of themselves and they think they've made it on their own, and they start stepping out too soon when they should always go back and say, hey, what do you think about this? Now, I may ask that at this juncture in my life. I may ask that, what do you think about this? But then it's up to me to either take it or leave it, right? I mean, I'm just using you as a resource because you've lived longer than I have. You've probably seen it, And so I think a lot of young guys detach from the ones who got them where they're at.
Right.
I see it all the time, and they crash and burn.
Yeah, the sad part is, if you run back to the huddle in a game you're losing, guess who you're talking to? You're talking to a bunch of losers. Go back to the coach and ask him what you're doing wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Go find out, and then come together as a team and win the game. And somebody has to lead, lead, follow, or get out of the way.
Yeah, that's a good point. You've always heard this before, and you've heard this many times, is that, who you hang out with is who you'll be. Yeah. Your top 5 friends or 3 friends really will tell you what level you're going to succeed at. So if they're not successful, misery loves company. You're always going to run to somebody that's miserable like you. At least at your level or down here, they'll agree with you. But you need that coach that'll disagree with you and not only disagree, but give you a strategy, give you a play. I remember when I started coaching junior high basketball, and I hadn't played basketball when I came out of college in forever. Dad was a great basketball coach, so he wasn't a basketball player. He just learned out of necessity how to do that. And he actually coached me to a degree as a junior high player. So I knew we had some things, and I was young, 24, 25 years old, trying to figure this thing out. And I remember catching myself on the sideline screaming and yelling and all this stuff and trying to, then the kids came over to me and I was thinking in my mind, I have no idea what to tell them to do. I'm just going to scream louder and harder. And that didn't work because they were looking at me like, okay, we're motivated, kind of, we're berated for sure. But now what do we do? You can't just motivate. You can't just inspire. You have to give motivation and education as well.
Direction. You got to give direction. And in basketball, I never played basketball in my life, but I won a whole lot more basketball than I did football. And I played football
when you were coaching. When you were coaching,
yeah. And I go back to one thing. My best friend all my life was the basketball.
Mm-hmm.
Uncle Gene. From the 7th grade through 5 years at Baylor, Gene McCarley was my roommate, my friend, and he was Mr. Southwest Conference and everything in basketball. But he never played a down of football. But we played against each other, coached against each other, and the funny thing was I beat him every time because he was smarter than me. But I thought I stayed with the fundamentals, whereas he got
fancy.
Yeah. And my
was he 6'5" or something like that?
About 6'8".
6'8"? Yeah. Oh wow. And you were what? All of 5'11" and 3/4?
Yeah.
I grew up with that my whole life. Your dad would never say 5'11". It was 5'11" and 3/4.
Yeah, because I shrunk, carried 100 pounds.
You couldn't say 6 foot. It's just 5'11" and 3/4. Hey, I want to say great. Hey, Don Newman, good to see you. Thank you for being on here. Don helped us with Zulon for many, many years, and now is on a new venture out in Florida. Thank you for being on today. Isaiah Palomino, good to see you today. Thank you guys for joining on here. Ray, good again. And then Walter Davis is on. Brad, good to see you. Thank you for being there. Appreciate you guys supporting what we're doing here and trying to get this message out. We have a great meeting coming up this week. I want to put that up. Give me just a second, Dan. Let's see. You can go to this area here. It's called Gathering of Champions. We're going to have it at Powerhouse Church in Katy, Texas, and we'll have about 500 guys show up and we'll eat. Big, great barbecue. Jose Morales is going to make that for us. We got a full day of stuff, not a full day, a half day, but we'd love to have you come, bring your church, bring your men, or just come by yourself. And you can pay at the door. I think it's $20 or something like that. But just come and listen to things like what you're hearing today, things that are life changing. You never know what the Holy Spirit is going to say through men. And I want to challenge you. This is a different type men's meeting. We get real. And I'm going to talk about something that will pull you closer to God, where you can talk to him and he'll talk back and he'll answer prayers, and you'll get your prayers answered a lot quicker. A lot of men quit going to God because they don't see a difference. And I want to show you exactly what God demands for his presence to be there quickly. So be sure you come and be with us. It starts about 8:30 Saturday morning in Katy, Texas at Powerhouse Church. You can get that information on the screen. That's called, it's going to be called Gathering of Champions. Sorry for that. Gathering of Champions, and be myself, Pastor Robert, and Pastor Brandon from Alabama will be there. So, all right, back to what we're talking about. We have just a few minutes.
Something about your meeting.
All right, go ahead.
4 or 5 years ago, I brought a whole bunch of men from Bay City First Baptist, and they are still talking about the fact that they had never seen as many men committed to Jesus and Jesus's work as they saw at Powerhouse. And it made an impression on them so much that 5 and 6 years later, we still talk about that meeting.
Wow.
And so I'd encourage everybody to especially bring people from your church, anybody that's, I call them edge rider, or fence rider, whatever you want to call, bring those people, because the people of Powerhouse are very strong and they're very impressive. And I think that I tell everybody, I wish I could carry Powerhouse around with me every Sunday to sit them down in a place that they could show you how church works. And
Dad lives in the Bay City area, Matagorda area. So they were coming a good, hour and a half.
Oh yeah.
To drive up there. So, a distance is a church alive is worth a drive. You need to start getting ready. That's how I started the ministry years ago, 1995, whatever. I would get men that I could gather up and we'd go see Dr. Cole. And so we'd drive to Dallas 4 hours, and just wherever he was at, fly to California. I wanted those men to see what I was seeing. And that's what we're asking you to do. Be influential. Be a leader. Even if you're not a pastor, that's fine. Not everybody's called to be a pastor, but you are called to lead men, to influence men. And it's a lot of fun, actually, when you get these men there.
I brought 3 pickup loads to New Braunfels.
Yeah. For another one. Yeah. We used to do them in New Braunfels as well. We got Steve Garza going now again. Maybe we can get that back. So, all right, let's talk about number 4 while we have time. We have about 13 minutes, Dad. Self-pity.
Oh, poor me.
Yeah. The 5 enemies of greatness. Number 4 is self-pity. We went entitlement, lack of discipline, circumstances, and now self-pity. He says the fastest way to lose is to feel sorry for yourself.
I hate to see a grown man sucking his thumb. And that's about what I see when I see self-pity.
But what does that look like, Dad? I mean, what does self-pity look like? Because a lot of times we justify it.
Well, self-pity looks like defeat, total defeat. When you look at a guy that's feeling that sorry for himself, that he's just backed off and quit. And a lot of times they go to alcohol or drugs or other things.
So quitting, basically, just stopping and thinking everybody's against you, that kind of thing, and listening to the lie of the enemy. So that is one of the things that will stop you from being great. You need a band of brothers. You need men around you that will pull you up, not pull you down.
Right.
It says self-pity kills resilience and responsibility.
There you are.
That's pretty good.
That's about it.
Why should I not feel sorry for myself? Because I'm the one that has said yes to Jesus, and my team can't fail because his team can't fail. So I'm not doing this for me. I'm doing this for him. We're sitting in a cabin right now that was built in the 1800s. We've restored this whole thing. You can see it around us. You can actually come and stay in the cabin if that's what you'd like to do at Jordan Ranch. It's one of the assets that we have here. And, these things were not built because they were easy. We had a lot of challenges. We had a lot of people that were against us. The enemy was against us. The money was against us. Everything was against us. The well was against us. The land, everything we tried fought back. And if at any point we would have felt sorry for ourselves, it would have been over. That's it. It just, everything stops. So maybe that's you today and you're in that position of self-pity. I just have 2 words for you. Get up. It's time to get up. Well, you have no choice. If you're going to be a winner, you must stand up and start again. The good news is with Jesus, he forgives you of your sins and he'll clean the slate, he'll wipe the slate clean, and he'll get you started brand new. Today is a new day with Christ. Buddha, no deal. Muhammad, no deal. Everything else puts you down and keeps you down. Jesus died to resurrect you. So take him at his word. Saban's teams were taught no excuses, no complaints, just the next play.
That's right.
It's kind of what we just said.
That's exactly.
Is that how you talk?
Yeah, that's right. Next play. The play before don't count.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yeah, we'd like to have 4 yards in a cloud of dust, but that don't work. It may take 10 yards to get a first down, and it always does.
I always laugh when he and I watch football together, and you'll see these guys. I'm watching these quarterbacks, especially on the collegiate level or pro level, and it's like they've done this so much they know it's 3rd and 15. They've had some penalties, and maybe you just had a great run, and all of a sudden somebody was holding. I mean, we just made 40 yards, and now we're back 10 from where we were. And I'm thinking, man, I'd be frustrated in that area, especially at the guy that just did the holding. But these guys just take it in stride. They go, no, we'll just come up with another play. We'll just figure it out. And they have to live that way, don't they?
Yeah, they do. And I encourage people to really, if you want to see a football game, watch the line. 8 inches of football.
Watch the offensive line is what he means. But he said lion. It's kind of like it's a line, the line of scrimmage, the linemen, lots of linemen.
Football is a game of 8 inches, according to Nick Saban. And if you win that 8 inches, you'll win the game. And that's the 8 inches from the nose of the offensive lineman to the nose of the defensive lineman. Mm-hmm. And that's the length of the football. And, remember the offensive lineman or the defensive lineman, he gets no credit except for when he gets a penalty, like you were talking about.
His name gets called out over the
loudspeaker, number 68, holding,
Yeah.
And that's the sad part, is that we don't congratulate them, though, when the 10-yard is gained, or the 90-yard run. The lineman gets forgotten, and all the glory goes to the ball carrier.
Yeah, the skill position.
Yeah. But if you're a lineman, you take joy out of knowing you did your job. Mm-hmm. And know that you are the main reason that guy's sitting down there in the end zone making a fool of himself.
And boy, they do that today, don't they?
Really.
So everybody's got to be responsible for their own self-determination. If you think that not confronting people who don't do the right things is helping your organization, you're absolutely wrong.
Yeah, you got to be a team. It don't work if you don't. I mean, if you're pulling one side and only one side's getting pulled, guess what happens? It gets lopsided real quick, and then nothing happens good. Everything.
So the coach, especially, because that was Nick's quote. The coach has to confront.
Right.
If you don't confront, nothing changes. Right.
Yeah, my coach at junior high, I never will forget when he came out and he taped a cracker on each shoulder. I said, "What's that for?" He said, "I want to show you that if you keep playing like you've been playing, you'll never break either one of those."
The last one is complacency, Dan. He says, the moment you think that you've arrived, you start to decline.
That's right. You can always get better. Mm-hmm. In everything you do, you can always get better. I mean, I don't care, if you're being a coach, if you're being a principal, if you're a superintendent. And I see so many that get to the top as a superintendent of schools mm-hmm. or something like that, and they do that. They don't want to progress anymore, because to progress, you got to take a chance. Mm-hmm. You got to step out. I love my high school line coach. He said, "That guy outweighs you 100 pounds. Gail, go up there and tell him you're going to run over him. Tell him what the play is." Well, I'd do that, but the backs never liked it. So, but if you don't have enough confidence in what you've learned and what you do, are you really competing? Mm-hmm. So It's just a question of what you believe in yourself to do, and you become a leader.
Yeah.
And I see, it's like I tell everybody, I'd rather be called a good Christian man than an all-American athlete,
Mm-hmm.
because, on my tombstone, I'd like to have that, a good Christian man that did good things for other people. I gave a lady a 20-pound turkey this week, and I can't explain the appreciation she had, but I can't explain to you
the feeling
how big my heart got.
Yeah, by giving it.
Yeah. So
we're going to talk about those things as well at the Gathering of Champions, and I really want to encourage you to come and be a part of that, because there's a lot. I've been listening to some podcasts and things that I've seen some of the stuff Brent sends, and those are all good and everything. But remember, we've been doing men's ministry for over 30 years.
Yeah. And
there's some things that we talk about in a way that we talk about. We don't run around shouting and scream and spit on you, all this smoke and mirrors. We just get right to the point of you having some tools when you leave to make some changes where you can be great for God. And I really want to challenge you, come and plan to be there. Listen, don't make excuses, make a way. Show up, bring your sons. Bring your sons. I don't care how old they are. Bring them and sit them next to you and say, this is what men do. They worship God together and they hold each other accountable. Dad, complacency is his final one. And he says, hunger and humility must outlast success if you want to stay great.
Cold and hunger. That's always been my motto with young men.
Those motivate.
Those motivate young men real quick. Cold and hunger.
But they must outlast success. In other words, remain humble. I allude to something you said a while ago. I look at it from a 65-year-old perspective. Going back is when these young guys do something good. They run 30 yards, they catch a pass, they get up and they do all the stuff that they're doing. And I think it was you or Brent or somebody said, just hand the ball back to the referee and act like you've done it before and you're going to do it again. Don't make a big thing out of it. It's football. Charles Barkley was talking yesterday on a panel, is from a while back. And he said, I want to talk about these guys who don't like to play 2 games in a row. They're protesting about playing NBA games. He said, do you understand they make $40 and $50 million? And he said, y'all just need to get over that. And he said, play the games. You're making more than people in 1 week than people make in a lifetime.
Right.
And he said, it's an honor to be able to play a silly game and get paid. Guys, look at the reputation that you have. You don't need to spike the ball, throw the ball, may do your little dance. Just thank God, hand the ball to the referee and say, I'll be back. And just be a man, be a mature man, not a boy. And a lot of that celebration stuff says, wow, look at me. That's immaturity. And that's our message for you today, is how to be a man in a boy world.
Yeah, if you want to go to basketball, just look at Durant. I think he's one of the finest players there was. I've never seen him throw that gyrations and things. He scores. He's supposed to score. And he knows it, and he does it, and he's man enough to get back and play defense. Mm-hmm. And I've always admired him.
Well, those are manly traits, aren't they?
Right.
I mean, those are mature traits. Yeah. Let's say that for men or women. You don't have to yell and scream and all that stuff. Just be confident, in who you are. We actually wrote a book. It's called, we wrote several books. It's called The Alpha Male and the Women Who Get Them. And it's endorsed by General Jerry Boykin and Dr. Ed Cole. Boykin was the general that ran Black Hawk Down. Maybe you know that movie.
Yeah.
And so, you need this book. You can go to Genesis Team, or you can go to G.F. Watkins. Let me see if I can put it up there for you real quick. Boom. You can go there and you can get the books, the resources. Then we'll have some at the event, the Gathering of Champions this week. But Dad, as we close out right now, we've come to the end of our 30 minutes. Any last thoughts on 88 years, and maybe one thing that you've seen over and over and over that has caused men to fail from reaching their gold medal in their life?
Yeah, too much success, too many braggadocious moments, that you quit working. Fundamentals. They're important in professional life. They're important in beginner's life.
Dad, a lot of people don't even know what that means. That word is not a word that's used very much. Break it down a little bit more.
Fundamentals?
Yeah.
How do you begin anything? That's the foundation that you build. Jesus said a rock. You're going to build his church on that rock. That rock was a guy.
It's a foundation.
It's the foundation of everything. And it's just like when you pour a concrete foundation, you better put a lot of steel in it if you want it to last.
All right. So let's say that these men have gone down the road 10 years. Let's say they're 40 years old now. So from the time they realize I'm a man at 30 or whatever. And now they're 40 and they made some mistakes. So what you're saying is go back to the basics.
Yeah.
All right. So let's help them. Give them one or two things they can do every morning to get. What is a basic of a winner?
Well, the basic is I've found one of the greatest things that helps me is I quit being selfish in my prayers. We always pray, God, give me, God, give me, God, protect me, God, do this. And if you really realize that when you go to heaven, if you get to heaven, you're going to be singing his praises all day long.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the way I start my day, is by praising God for a good 30 minutes. I sit in the driveway and it makes me start my day with a positive, good feeling.
Okay.
And I think that's the beginning, the first step. You have to feel like you're good with yourself. If you don't think that yourself is capable, you'll never make it.
David said, enter his presence with thanksgiving, his courts with praise.
Right.
That's what you're saying.
Right.
You're entering, which means beginning the day.
Yeah.
So start by worshiping God and thanking. Find something good that he, even if it's your breath that day. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I guess the two compliments of my life that I've enjoyed or appreciated and remembered most of all are what you and Brent said about me one time was, I taught you how to work. And when you went to bed at home, you felt safe.
Mm-hmm.
And those were the two basic, I think, fundamentals of life.
Yeah.
And if I taught you that was the greatest thing I ever did.
Well, you certainly did. Yeah. And sometimes just being in the bedroom, we were safe from you.
I can appreciate that.
But you know what, Dad always was quick to discipline, and as you can tell by just listening to him, he's always quick to point out what you can do better. And so I think Brent and I both grew up with that, not only as our coach and our principal, but then we got home and he was the same guy as our dad. And so I think we were always striving to cut out things that were harming us, cut out things that were doing us wrong. Like we never had issues with bad habits and things like that, addictions. We weren't that. But we just, I think, grew up in a good home, very disciplined. And I think we need to get back to that today, guys. And I think we can help you do that. And books like what I'm talking to you about, Take Your Place or Alpha Male, they're all at our website. You can go there, but be a reader, learn these things. I learned a lot by reading Ed Cole's book, Maximize Manhood. I learned a lot by being in Dad's house and combining the two together. It made a lot of sense. So either way, we look forward to seeing you this Saturday at Powerhouse Church in Katy. Dad, thank you for being on the show with me for the second week in a row. Everybody loves to see you. Hello to all of our Uvalde friends.
Yeah. Hello. I'm glad to see you guys. Y'all put up with me through your younger life. I really appreciate it.
And now I'm putting up with him in the rest of his life. So y'all need to come see us. Dad's here in Schulenburg about half the time. And let us know when you can come out. And I know he'd love to visit with you here at Poppy's Cabin. Yeah. May the Lord richly bless you. Have a great day. Remember, do something great today because you serve a great God. Talk to you later. Bye-bye. All right.